Back. Today we're going to take a look at how to run our tool pass to cut our 3-jam part on the CNC mill. To begin, we're going to have to open our part up, and we already have this currently saved in our H drive. So we're going to come up to the top in our ribbon bar and we're going to select open. Go to your H drive, find your 3-jam part, click open. And then what we need to do is we are in our 3D model tab here at the top in our ribbon bar. We're going to come across till we get to the CAM tab, C-A-M. We're going to select that and our ribbon bar changes. The first thing we need to do is set this part up in order to be cut. So we're going to come up to the ribbon bar, click on Setup, and we see these tabs on the left-hand side in our model browser. We're going to take and we are going to run these tabs from left to right, and each tab that we click on, we're going to take a look at the things in there from top to bottom. So on this first tab, we're going to have to set our origin. Now the origin already is starting in the middle. We want that to be on this bottom or the top of the bottom left-hand corner. However, when we drew this part, we selected the origin was the bottom of this square. So selecting model origin does not work. We're going to leave this at stock box point, and we're going to click the top of this bottom left-hand corner. Our origin should move over there, and then we're going to move on to our second tab, which is our stock setup. And in our stock setup, do you see how this bounding box, this yellowish color bounding box, is not quite touching our part? So we're going to come down to where it says stock offset mode, and it says add stock to sides and bottom. We're going to choose no additional stock. And that's going to bring it up right close to our part, and that's what we want. The third tab over is our post-process tab. We're going to highlight the number in there that says 1001, and we're going to take and change that to 3-jam and your last name. After you enter in that program name, 3-jam and your last name, we're going to click OK down at the bottom. Now that we have our stock set up, you can see that in the side at setup number 1. We're going to go up to our 2D milling area and we're going to show the computer how we want this part to be cut. We're going to select 2D pocket, and here we're going to cut out this middle part for the hole, in the big hole that's in the middle, and this flat part for our square going around the outside of the circle. Once again, these tabs come up in our ribbon bar window at the left-hand side, our model browser, and we're going to take and work these tabs from left to right and take a look at each tab from top to bottom. This first tab, we want to identify our tool. So click on Tool. We're going to scroll all the way down to the bottom, and we're going to go to Butler Middle School Tool Library. And we're going to choose tool number 1, 1/8 inch flat, and click Select. You can see it add the icon of our tool right here. So now let's go to our second tab, where we're going to select the geometry we want to be cut. We're going to come into the middle of our part, and I want to be on the bottom surface of that circle in the middle, and I'm going to click on that. It's going to turn blue. I'm also going to choose the outside flat part of my square. Click on that to select that as well. Then let's go to our next tab where we establish the heights. The top 3 that are in here, clearance height, retract height, and feed height, we want to change each one of these to stock top and 0.2. Stock top and 0.2, stock top and 0.2. So just check to make sure that each one of these, clearance height is stock top 0.2, retract height is stock top 0.2, and your feed height is stock top and 0.2. Let's go across to our fourth tab, which is our multiple passes. Taking this cut all the way down to that final depth here is kind of a lot for our mill to cut. So we're going to take that in a few passes. We're going to come down here and we're going to check the box in front of multiple depths. And then the first selection down, it says maximum roughing step down. We're going to put our cursor in this box and highlight everything in that box. and we're going to change that number to 0.188. So that's 3/16 of an inch, 0.188. Then we're going to use our mouse on our scroll bar, and we're going to scroll down just a little bit further. The next option underneath that is stock to leave. We're going to uncheck that box because we don't want any stock to leave. We want it to cut right up to our edge. Then we're going to go to our fifth tab. In here for our linking parameters tab, we're going to go down to the leads and transitions. We're going to go to lead in, uncheck that box. We're going to uncheck lead out. And then our ramp style, we're going to change from helix to plunge. It's going to be a simple entry into there. Okay? Once you have that finished, down at the bottom of this menu, click OK. And it's going to generate your parts for your pocket. So we have this big hole in the middle done. We have this outside flat side done. Now we're going to take and do these holes that are in the corners. So let's come up to the top, select 2D pocket again. I'm in the 2D milling area of our ribbon bar. Click 2D pocket. I'm going to re-identify my tool again, so click on tool. Scroll all the way to the bottom, get Butler MS Tool Library. Click 1/8 inch flat, which is your number 1 tool, and click select. Once we have that done, we're going to go over to our second tab, which is our geometry. Now from this view, we can't click the bottom of that hole. So we're going to get our rotate tool, our obert tool over here on the right hand side, this navigation bar. And I'm going to just turn this just a little bit so I can see the bottom of those holes. Press escape to let go of your rotate tool. And I am going to come in and I am going to click the bottom of the hole. Make sure you're on the bottom, not the top of those holes. Click the bottom of the hole. If you have to, kind of zoom out and then zoom back in. Make sure you're on the bottom of each one of those holes, otherwise they will not cut properly. Once you have those identified and clicked, click home. And you can just double check to make sure each one of those 4 holes are on the back, not on the top. Then we're going to go next to establishing our heights. And once again, clearance height, retract height, and feed height, we're going to change to stock top and 0.2. Stock top and 0.2. Okay, so these top 3 are stock top and 0.2. Good thing I double checked that. Mine was not there. Okay. Moving on to our fourth tab at the top. We're going to come down and we're going to select multiple depths. Once again, we're going to change that maximum roughing step down. Highlight that number that's in the box and change it to 0.188, 3/16 of an inch, 0.188. Then we're going to scroll down just a little bit more. We're going to uncheck stock to leave. Okay, once you have that done, let's go to our fifth tab, which is linking parameters. In here for our linking parameters, we're going to uncheck lead in, uncheck lead out, and our ramp style, we're going to change to plunge. Once you have those changes made, let's click OK at the bottom of our model browser. It's going to generate those toolpaths. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to move on to these holes that are around the top of our circle. To do that, that is a drilling operation. So we're going to come up here next to 2D milling. That is our drilling section. Click on drill. We're going to identify our tool, so click on the tool button. Come down, Butler Middle School Tool Library, number 1, 1/8 inch flat, and click select. Going to our second tab, we're going to identify our geometry, which are the holes. Here we're going to come in and we're going to make sure we click each one of the holes. It doesn't matter what order you click them in, just as long as you get all 6 of them selected. Then we're going to go across to our establishing our heights. Once again, you guessed it, stock top and 0.2 for each one of these top ones. Okay, and just to make double sure, clearance height, retract height, and feed height, these top 3 are stock top and 0.2, stock top and 0.2. Let's go across to our last tab. This is our cycle for our drill operation. We're doing a drilling operation, and after it gets to the bottom, it's going to wrap it out. And then at the bottom of this menu, click OK. It created those drill holes. Next, what we're going to do is create this contour for the O-ring to fit into. We're going to do that in the 2D milling section. We're going to click on 2D contour. Okay, once again, we're going to re-identify these tools. Now, the reason we're doing this, I don't know if you can see this or not, but do you see how I have some bad numbers that are in here? So when I take and click on tool, and I'm going to re-identify this tool from the Butler Middle School tool library, number 1, 1/8 inch flat, click select, and you see how that changes those numbers to all good numbers down here for us. Okay, next let's go in and select our geometry. This is a contour, so we need to click a line to click on. So I'm on the groove here, I'm zooming in, and I want the bottom inside corner edge of that groove. Not the top, I want the bottom. Once it highlights, click to select it. Let's go home. Okay, so I have that one line going all the way around as my contour. Establish our heights again, click on your next tab over. And you guessed it one more time. Stock top and 0.2 is what we're changing these top 3 to. Okay, so stock top 0.2, stock top 0.2, and stock top 0.2. Going across to our 4th tab, which is our passes. This one should be fine the way that it is because we're not going very deep at all. So we're going to leave that alone. We don't have to change anything in this menu. Go to our 4th tab, our linking parameters. In here, we're going to uncheck lead in. We're going to uncheck lead out. And our ramp style should be fine the way that it is. So let's leave that alone. Once you're finished making those changes, uncheck lead in, uncheck lead out, click OK. And over here on the left-hand side in our model browser, we have Pocket 1, Pocket 2, our drilling, and our 2D contour. So that should take care of our whole parts. Let's go up to the top. We're going to click on Post Process. Make sure this is going into your H drive. Make sure it's going into your H drive. I gotta get mine to the right spot. Select folder. Once you have that folder selected, you're going to come down to the bottom and you're going to click Post. Click Save. Then there's going to be a M&G code screen that shows up that shows all the X, Y, and Z coordinates for cutting this out. Up here in the top right-hand corner, you're going to click on the X to close that out. That brings us back to our part. Next, we're going to click on our Simulate button. We're going to turn our stock on. Okay, check mark in front of the stock. And we're going to click Play. And it's going to show us how it's going to take and cut that part. After it runs through and it finishes up with that O-ring groove, you are now ready to take and cut this part on the CNC mill. Make sure, just for good measure, we go up. Let's click close on the preview window. Let's make sure that we go File and go down to Save As. Save. Go down to File and Save. That updates all of our changes. Let your teacher know that you're ready to cut your 3-jam part on the CNC mill. Great job. Very impressed with all that you've accomplished so far.